Hi, and welcome to Dog Fostering 101. I'm Jackie Adams, foster mom and learning and development professional. This podcast is for anyone who's new to fostering, thinking about saying yes for the first time, or navigating those early days and looking for practical tips, because fostering changes lives at both ends of the leash. Welcome to Foster Fast Track, short episodes designed to help you feel steadier and more confident with your foster dog, especially in those early days when behavior can feel unpredictable or suddenly intense. Today, I want to talk about why well-intended correct advice sometimes seems to backfire and why that doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It has everything to do with timing. It has everything to do with biology. If you've ever thought, I'm doing what I was told to do, so why is this getting worse? This episode is for you. When we bring a foster dog home, most of us focus on what we should do. What training approach should we use? What tools might help? What advice we should follow? But there's a more important question that often gets missed. Is this dog physiologically able to learn right now? When I talk about threshold and nervous system activation, I'm drawing from a large body of work in animal behavior, stress physiology, and neuroscience, the same science used in shelter welfare research and trauma-informed training. Researchers have consistently shown that when stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline are elevated, access to learning and memory drops in dogs and in humans. So when we talk about timing, we're not talking about preference or philosophy. We're talking about how learning actually works in the brain and body. Dogs, like people, operate using two broad systems. One is the thinking learning system, the part of the brain that processes information, makes choices, and adapts. The other is the survival system, which activates when something feels overwhelming, unpredictable, or too intense. When the survival system is active, heart rate increases, muscles tense, attention narrows, and access to that thinking brain decreases. In that state, learning doesn't just slow down, it largely shuts off. That is what we mean when we say a dog is over threshold. It's not a behavior label, it's a nervous system state. One of the most important reframes I want you to hear today is this: dogs don't fail training, they lose access to learning. And here's where a lot of fosters get tripped up, because excitement and fear actually activates the same stress system. That means a dog who is spinning, barking, mouthing the leash, or unable to settle isn't happy, but wild. Biologically, they're activated in the same way a fearful dog is. The nervous system doesn't distinguish between too excited and too scared. It just knows overload. You can see this clearly in everyday foster moments. Think about doorways and leashes. You reach for the leash and suddenly everything escalates. Your dog is bouncing, spinning, grabbing, vocalizing, or completely unable to pause. Other dogs freeze or back away. These behaviors look opposite, but biologically they're the same thing. The nervous system is already activated, and in that state, adding cues, guidance, or even calm reassurance doesn't reduce stress. It adds stimulation. That's why trying to push through, even gently, often makes things worse. The same principle applies to visitors. We often think dogs need exposure to learn that people are safe, but exposure only works when the thinking brain is online. A dog who is already activated can't learn that someone is friendly. They only learn that the situation feels overwhelming or inescapable. And then there are the first walks. Outside environments are incredibly dense with sensory input. We've got smells, sounds, movements, visual complexity. What feels like a short, reasonable walk to us can overwhelm a dog's nervous system in seconds. Sometimes the most successful walk is stepping outside and coming right back in. All of this leads to one core principle. You can't train a nervous system out of activation. You can only give it a chance to settle. That's not permissive. That's physiological reality. Choosing relief, distance, rest, predictability, fewer demands isn't avoiding training. It's protecting the dog's ability to learn later. And here's how to know this approach is working. Success doesn't sound like perfect behavior. It looks like recovery. A dog who disengages sooner. A dog who settles more quickly after stress. A dog whose activation peaks lower than it did before. Those are real, measurable signs that the nervous system is becoming more flexible. And here's the good news. Nervous systems learn from repetition. The more often a dog experiences relief and recovery, the faster they're able to return to the calm in the future. That's not personality, that's physiology adapting. This is also not a forever approach. It matters most early on while a foster dog system is still adjusting. As regulation improves, learning capacity expands and training becomes more effective, not less. If you're ever unsure in the moment, here's your decision rule. If you're choosing between pushing forward and allowing relief, choose relief. You can always reintroduce something later when the dog has more capacity. You cannot force learning through an activated nervous system. And on our next episode, I'll be sitting down with canine behavior educator Devin Amundsen to go deeper into this from a longer term perspective, including stress stacking, why foster dogs often appear to regress after a few good days, and how nervous systems loads build over time. That conversation will help connect the moment to moment decisions we talked about today with what you're seeing over weeks, not just days. Remember, progress doesn't start with pressure, it starts with timing. Until next time, go snuggle a pup and have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us for this episode of Dog Fostering 101, everything I wish I knew when I began fostering. This episode was edited by Make Your Day Richer. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to follow us and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Now go cuddle a pup and have a great day.